Lesson 1 was about finding the area of parallelograms, and so now lesson 2, we're going to focus in on triangles. Okay? Some of this you probably already know. I would like you guys to do the exploratory challenge on your own right now. Read the directions, make your predictions, and we'll talk about it in a minute or two. They kind of give you a visual. Let me kind of work backwards here for a minute. If you take a look at your shape Y, which is a square, how many units is your base? How many units is your height? Hunt. Right, we have a 3 by 3 square. So what would the overall area be of shape Y? It would be 9 square units, right? If you cut it in half, that's your clue. Because then what becomes the area of half that square? So 4.5 or 4.5. This is 9. This is 4.5. So what you have to now do is use that, the actual measurements. How would you figure it out, or what would your formula be for finding the area of any triangle? Viv? And there's 2 ways we can do it. You're right. We could do it as base times height divided by 2. Or what's another way to think about it? Jack. 1/2 times the base times the height. Both of them will work. There is an instance where this one is more handy than this one. Does anybody know an example where you probably want to use the 1/2 base times height formula as opposed to the BH divided by 2? T-Rex. It'll still work as base times height divided by 2. It'll still work. But there's an instance where you really want to use this one here as opposed to this one. I'm going to tell you right away, use this all the time, except for when what?
When they don't give you another square to work with?
No, but it's a good guess. Right, when the sides are in fractions. And those fractions can't be changed to decimals or terminating decimals. So they give you a side 4 2/3. That's a repeating decimal, 4.6666. You have to use formula 2. It's the same thing, it's just this one will work better. That's all there is to lesson number 2. You just have to practice it. So let's go on to the exercises. I'm actually going to skip this, explain the predictions only because we're short on time. I want to put it into play, the formulas, into practice. You still have trash numbers you've got to deal with. Start off by writing the formula. Oh, by the way, are our sides have fractions in them or not? So we can use base times height divided by 2. Now you just got to substitute in, which you're all pretty much getting used to. Tree, what's the base? Hunt, what's the height? This is your throwaway number. We don't need it. All right, do 15 times 8, divide by 2, and then I'm going to see if you can figure out what the shortcut is. All right, let's work 15 times 8 first. What do you get? That should get 120. Right. And 120 divided by 2. What'd you get, Soph? No naked numbers. What's the units we should use? It's still area. Feet squared. It's all areas feet squared times 1. I want to show you something. This was the original numbers that you had to deal with. You know what the shortcut is? Cody. That's it. You can knock out one of the even numbers right away. If you want, it's like cross-reducing. Make this a 1, make this a 4. Because you now know any number over 1 is that number. And I think it's easier to do 15 times 4 in your head. Which is what? 60. That will work with any even number that you're multiplying. So I'll give you another for instance. Let's say if I give you this, it has nothing to do with the problem. 20 times 7 over 2, or divided by 2. What can you knock out? Joe? 2 and what? What would you make it? Right. 10 times 7 in your head? 10 times 7. 70. You can do it in your head. So it's great because not only can you multiply those numbers in your head, but then you don't have to do any division at all. One little word of warning that you've got to be careful for. Watch this. Tell me what I'm going to do wrong, because some kids do this. Ready? Tell me what I do wrong. Say it. You can't do both. Only one number. If only one number is even, knock out that one number. If you get two numbers that are even, honestly, pick the bigger one. Or pick one that makes mental math easier for you. Either or, but not both. And it doesn't work so great if both numbers are odd. Either way, if you have two odd numbers, you're going to wind up with a decimal as your answer. So even numbers, it doesn't save you any time to make this 3.5, because then you got to do 3.5 times 5, and it doesn't save you any time. 7 times 5 is, you still kind of do 35 divided by 2, which means no matter what, you're going to end up with a fraction or a decimal. 17.5. So use the knockout trick if you get one of those numbers that are even. It'll help you out. Just makes it easier. But you'll see as we progress through these examples and these exercises, I'm going to give you a calculator tomorrow anyway. All right, let's do another one together. Formula first. Do we have fractions? Do we have decimals? We can still use A equals B equals parts. We can still use base times height divided by 2 formula. The only time we're not going to use it is if there's fractions and you can't change the decimals. All right, what's the base, somebody? Jack. Yeah, you're right. The numbers are not off. This appears to be longer. We'd have to change the numbers next year. You're right. I probably should make that to be reasonable, like around 21.4 maybe. You're right. It has to be changed. Let's stay with it for now. What's the height, Phil? Now I'm going to give you a calculator. Okay, I'm going to give you a calculator when you actually do this. But I'll do it for you right now. You can do it all in one step, by the way, if you want. Watch what I'm going to do. Because there is actually a trick to knowing how to use a calculator correctly. Okay? You can do it all in one step. Because order of operations, when you punch it in, follows the same order of operations that you would do it here anyway. So it'll work. It doesn't always work unless you have it all multiplication or all multiplication and division, because remember they share equal powers. So you have to type it in as you would read it. 1.4 times what? Hold on. I got fat fingers. Times 17.7. Now I don't have to hit equals. I'm going to go right into my division. Divide by 2. 12.39. Okay? What's our units? Centimeters squared is correct. Okay, skip and do number, let's go to number 4, because I want to show you one where you've got to use the fraction formula. Just because we have fractions doesn't mean that we automatically have to use the fraction formula. But are they a base or a height that can't be changed into decimals, or at least what we call terminating decimals. Does everybody see which one? Which one, the base or the height? The base, it's a repeating decimal. So what we have to do is use formula number 2, 1/2 base times height. This is why they give you some extra lines too. You may still need some blank space below the actual sheet itself. Don't forget that half when you start doing your substitution. What's your base? 8 2/3. And what's the height? Now, no lie, it does take a little bit of time because you can't use your calculator. Fractions, you have to change them into improper fractions before you can do anything. Okay, I'm just because we need space to work, I'm going to work below the shape. 8 2/3, like with any type of exercise where you got to multiply fixed numbers, you got to change them into improper fractions. 8 2/3. 5.5. Get on. Can you cross reduce anywhere? Oh, 11/2. Sorry. Still can cross reduce somewhere though. See it? 2 and 26 you can cross reduce. I haven't taught you this yet, but you can also cross reduce from far left to far right. That'll work too. We haven't done it yet. I'll show it to you. You can't do it here, but you are allowed to do it. It's a legal move. Okay. Now, when you multiply this together, it's not too bad. 13 times 11. Does anybody know their 13 times tables?
That's all I know. Oh, that's not. He's so 160.
I think you're thinking 13 is 169. 13 times 11, so let's go.
143.
143 over 6. Change it back into a mixed number. You can't leave it like that. It's top heavy. 2 times 3 times 1. Change it back into a mixed number and tell me what you get. Like I said, when you get fractions, they can take a while, so be patient. Come on, finish up strong. All right, what's the whole number you get? Oh, we have some B. Yeah, 23. 5 left over, 5, 6. 23, 5, 6, and what's our units? All right, open up to your agendas that I told you to leave out. I'm going to have you guys do each page. What do you think? No, I'm actually just going to problem set at page 9 and 10. Okay? There are a total of 5 problems on 9 and 10. Now, there is a third page to the problem set, but don't do it. 9 and 10. Have a great day.